I'm Shannon Jackson, your host of a Healthy Push podcast. I struggled with anxiety, panic disorder, and agoraphobia for 15 years. Everything used to be hard for me. Even just driving 5 minutes from my house used to feel impossible. But now I absolutely live for travel and adventure, and I experience lots of peace and joy. I've not only reclaimed my life, but I've helped hundreds of others to do the same. Here, we stop managing anxiety and instead we create a healthy relationship with it. One where you say goodbye to the anxious thoughts, symptoms, panic attacks, and fears, and you actually live your life. Forget complicated strategies, quick fixes, or the same old hacks you've heard 100 times before. Each week, I'll bring you simple, actionable advice and honest conversations that lead to real, long-term healing. You aren't just an anxious person, my friend. There are reasons why you're struggling with anxiety, and these are things you can fix and heal from. And this is where that journey begins. Welcome. You're right where you're meant to be. All right, I'm so excited because I have somebody with me here today that I now consider a friend. You may have heard her on the podcast before. She came on with her co-host. They were the host of the Decoding Couples podcast. I have Stacey here with me who has sort of made this transition. She's now doing her own thing, supporting people who are going through a separation, divorce, and she is a therapist, a mom. She has had lots of recent lived experience, so she is the perfect person to have this conversation with. And I am just really excited to chat about anxiety and relationships and what do you do when relationships end and you're going through separation and divorce, which is something both Stacey and I have recently been through. So, Stacey, welcome back to a Healthy Push podcast.
Thank you. I love how you put that. Lots of recent lived experience. That's one way. That's one way to put it.
I feel like all the time, Stacey and I will send these voice messages back and forth and being like, how are you doing? Where are you at? And it's just so nice to be able to have that because you literally feel like you're on your own. Like everything's just a total shitstorm and you don't know what's what. So it's been so nice. But I guess let's just talk about like what the heck has your journey looked like because I know we both kind of went through things in a similar time frame, but you were a little bit ahead of me with things. So what did it look like for you? Such a big question, I know.
I know. I'm like, where do I start? So let's start with where I'm at right now. So I am 8 months post my divorce being final. I'm coming up on 2 years of being separated from my now ex-husband. We have two kids together. I have an almost 7-year-old and an almost 3-year-old. So got two little kids still. And yeah, it's really been like honestly like 5 or 6 years of realizing that our relationship and our marriage was not healthy, not going to work. Did a lot of years of the back and forth, stay or go, so much fear about the kids. And yeah, finally had the big conversation in July of 2023. And here we are. And it has been the wildest ride, as you know, in ways that you could predict, ways that you could not predict. And I don't know. Sometimes I see the light. Like sometimes I'm like, okay, I think I'm through it. Like I think I'm okay. Like I'm gonna be okay. And then, I mean, as you know, just as quickly, like the tides change and I'm like, this is how am I still here? How do I still feel this? So it has been a roller coaster. You have been along for the ride with me, which I so appreciate and value you. And yeah, it's been a lot. And I'm a therapist, which is like the irony is not lost on me being a marriage and family therapist going through a divorce. And now I have Detangling Divorce, which was an offshoot of yes, Decoding Couples, which you said. And I'm creating this new community because we desperately need it.
Oh my God. I think this is one of the biggest things that we've talked about of like when you're in it, you feel so alone and it's so isolating. And like people tell you, right? Like this happens all the time and people go through separation and divorce, but and you know that logically, but when you don't have any connection with people who are going through specifically what you're going through or something similar, it feels like not only am I spiraling and out here on an island by myself, nobody has got me, like nobody's with me. I'm just, this is it. I'm on my own. It's the worst. So, yeah, I love that you're building this because I have told you if I had a community back when I was going through it, God, it would have felt so much less just shitty, just shitty. I don't even know how to put it.
Right, you just feel less crazy.
Yeah.
To have somebody be like, "No, I feel that same thing." You're like,
Yep.
"Oh, oh, okay, great. I'm on path. I'm on track."
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I'm not crazy. This is an actual experience that somebody else is living too. I want to go back to something because I think this is such a common experience of what you said. It was like 5 or 6 years that you sort of had this knowing or maybe this, like, little voice, right, of this probably maybe isn't gonna work. Can you talk about that? Because I think a lot of women and even men too feel that in relationships, but we sort of ignore it, ignore it, ignore it.
This is something that comes up for everybody, honestly, that I've met personally or professionally that their relationship has ended in a separation or a divorce. So I want to start off by saying, like, I don't have the answer of figuring out the stay or go. But if you are in it and you have been in it for years, I think that that is the most common experience. Rarely does somebody just have like one moment and they leave the next day. For me, I met my ex-husband when I was 23. So I was a baby. And who I was then and what our relationship and our life had been, really up until we had kids was based around very minimal responsibility other than, us working and having a home. And honestly, getting pregnant changed everything. And I think that is a very common experience for a lot of women, and also men, in that I think they see their wives changing and maybe they don't quite know what to do. So that was really, of course, there were cracks in our relationship. And yes, there were flags that I ignored. And I think we're also taught like we have hope in a relationship. Like part of getting married to someone is you work through the hard times and the shit together. And so you might see these flags and you think that we're going to figure it out and we're gonna grow together and it'll be okay. And that is part of like, marriages work and, you know, all the stuff that's true, but can also teeter into bullshit after a while.
Mhm.
And then getting pregnant really just blew everything open. Like there wasn't just like the open-ended hope of, well, hopefully things will get better. It was like, nope, everything has changed. Now we have this little being.
Yep.
I had some postpartum mental health stuff, as many of us do. And it really just blew everything up. And let me be clear, like, my ex wasn't happy either. It's not like he was like, We're living our best lives." Like, we were both
Yeah.
miserable, and I wanna say our daughter was just a little over a year when we had the first conversation around, "Do we stay together?" And it was a mutual conversation, and I think we really kind of freaked out. But we had even gotten to the point of, like, looking at a custody schedule, and then I think both of us were like, "There's no way we could be away from our one-year-old." Like, I remember, like, can, like, visualize us sitting we were at a restaurant, like, sitting in this booth, and I think we both were just like, "Nope, this is too much, this is too real," and then we just kinda put it away, and then it was, a few years of being like, but nothing was changing. If anything, things got worse as your kid gets older and it's harder and our needs change and what we want changes and our responsibilities change. And it really just blew it, blew it open. But it wasn't all bad. We had another kid. There was good moments, and you still have that hope. It's like, okay, but like you saw this life you wanted, and I really wanted another kid. My like body needed like another kid. And then, the same shit happened. Blew it all out. Like it was just, it's so complicated. It's never
Yeah.
just one track, right?
Yeah, you can probably speak better to this, but I feel like, especially in the relationships where there's not like this big significant event that happened that really fractured the relationship, it's like a lot of just this repetitious stuff that happens, but that's just as damaging. And I think we've had similar experiences there where you've experienced so much of this repetitious stuff, and it sort of gets to this point where you feel like, I don't even know, like, how we could work through this, or do I even now have the desire to work through this? Like, is it just too far gone sort of thing? I'm sure, I know we all arrive at this place, right? This has been years now, and you've had some conversations. There's been like that acknowledgement of shit's not good. And like, what are we going to do? And I know you get to that point where it is like, okay, we need to figure this out. Like, are we going to work on this or are we not going to work on this? Like, what did that look like? Because I think that's like the middle place, maybe like an early middle place. I don't know. There's like we've said, right? There's so many oh, ups and downs of this, but I think that middle place is one of the hardest places to be.
Yeah. I think I came to a place in that middle zone of really kind of looking it in the eye with myself and being like, I don't think our marriage is going to work out. And we've chosen to have a kid. So I need to feel really good about everything that I have tried. Like at the end of the day, if this doesn't work out, I need to know that every option has been exhausted. So, like, we went to multiple therapists with very similar kind of end results, which was no change. And I think what really kind of pushed it over the edge for me in the support that we were seeking is I would feel like the vulnerability that I would share in our sessions would then be used against me in fights in our home. For me, I think most people would feel this way, but specifically, like as a therapist, like I think therapy is so helpful.
Yeah.
And when I got to this place of being like, I don't want to go to therapy with you anymore because therapy is not safe and my vulnerability is not safe. I was like, there is no way we can work on this then. Like how do you work on it if you have multiple experiences where trying to do the vulnerable thing then becomes the weapon that is used against you? So for me, there was multiple things that happened when I was pregnant with our second kid that honestly probably put the nail in the coffin for me of being like, this is insane, but I'm pregnant now. And so I'm certainly not going to leave. And I certainly wasn't going to leave with a newborn. But in that process, I also was like, and the place where we could work and grow together has now been absolutely taken away from me. Therefore, I don't know what options are left because you can only do so much work yourself, right? And I felt really good that I did that. I was reading the books and listening to podcasts and doing my own therapy and trying. I know, like, I feel really, really solid about that, which I think is important. And I'm like, well, if we can't do it together, like, we can't do it together.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was kind of my like tipping point in that middle. But we tried going on vacations together, right? Like getting like that true like connection time. We tried multiple therapists. We even tried like a relationship coach, which I have feelings about, especially in hindsight. No bueno. Um, like I'm like, yeah, we got to make sure those are, uh, regulated in some way. But I truly feel like we tried all that stuff in the middle, and it was just really clear that there wasn't an emotionally safe path forward. That was it.
Yeah. And even I think making that decision, even though you sort of arrived there, right? Finally, did you still feel the sense of like unease, not 100% sure? Like, especially I think having kids in the mix changes a lot of that. Like, I think can't help, right? But not feel that 100% sure this is the right thing because you have children and that nobody wants to walk away from a relationship where children are involved.
I feel like I just recently actually, that's not even true. I don't even know that I feel 100% sure that it was the right decision because things continue to come up with my daughters, especially my older one, that I'm like, "This is so sad," right? And it's normal and it's typical, and we won't know the impact that this has on her as an adult for another 15 years. And so there's always that little voice. It's like, look, everybody, we know the research, 2 happy homes are better than 1 intact, unhealthy home. Great. Love it. Don't model the relationship that you wouldn't want your kid to be in.
Yeah.
Great. I understand, but love it. And all of that is like future stuff. So all I have right now is a daughter that will randomly be like, I'm so sad that you and daddy aren't married.
Mhm.
Literally this morning, my ex didn't show her the FaceTime video that I left when I called her back last night because I was out at dinner. And this morning she was like, "You promised you'd call me and you didn't call me." No, I called you. Your dad just didn't show you the do you know what I mean? Like, there's
Yeah.
so many things that I'm like, "Shit." Like, it is out of the blue and it's constant and there is still that 1% in my head, but I'm like, I truly hope that this was the better choice for her. I think I know that it was, but it is scary because we don't know the impacts on our kids. So, yeah, Shannon, I it's scary. And then I also had now this part I feel good about, but even in leaving of being like, this is not the I know this marriage is not it for me. This is not the relationship for me. All the fears of, what if I'm not okay alone? Like, what if it isn't
Mhm.
better when I'm by myself? What
Mhm.
if I never find love again? What if I was the problem, right? What if I didn't try hard enough and I regret it? What if I'm really financially not okay? It's like you can be so certain that the marriage or the relationship is not what you want. And there's still so much other uncertainty that will change in your life that I don't think anybody can feel 100%. And then, yeah, throw on kids and it just messes it all up, right? I'm like, "Cool, I'm gonna fuck them up." Great.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, and I think if you come from a childhood yourself where you had a divorced, experience, that can just add to the uncertainty and the pressure, but, yeah, I think kind of the way that I've tried to navigate this, because I know I've similar, like, our journeys are so similar, it's insane, like, I'm learning more as you're talking, or, your oldest and my daughter are very similar in age, and a lot of the same things that you said are things that she says, right? And it would be so easy, just get back together, like, that's how you fix this, right? And it's so
Yeah.
black and white sometimes to them, but it's so much more nuanced. But I think the way that I've learned to navigate the, like, acceptance piece, I think you're right, like, I don't think we ever arrive at this place where we're 100% certain that we made the quote "right" decision, because I don't think it is, like, about right and wrong, but I think
Yeah.
I've tried to be much more accepting of the impacts that are gonna be had, that have been had because of it, and I think that's the part that when you do more of that accepting of the impacts, I think it helps you to feel more okay with, like, this is the decision, and not that it's right, wrong, but, like, this decision makes sense, and I just have to allow myself to be with that really shitty feeling of there are gonna be impacts, like, my daughter is already impacted, right? She's gonna continue to be impacted.
Yeah.
She would have been if we would have stayed, right? There would have been impacts on that side. So it's like we always, of course, wanna skirt around that discomfort. Like, I don't wanna feel any of it. I don't want anything to be hard, but, like, there is just so much hardness to it in general, I don't think we can get away from.
Yeah. You said a couple of things and, like, piggybacking off of that, like, yeah, like, there has to be the acceptance of it, but in order to have the acceptance, you have to be okay with experiencing and letting yourself be with the feelings that come up with accepting it, and that has been a huge journey for me. And then the other part of it, I think on the flip side is with accepting it, then you also have to trust yourself that you know that, okay, with this acceptance and with the challenges, like I can trust that I can cope. I trust that I am taking care of my kids the best that I can. I trust that I can seek support and help and education to help me along the way. And I think when we come out of unhealthy I hate the word toxic, but, like, if it's a toxic relationship, right, there's a really good chance your trust with yourself and your ability to, like, tolerate hard things is absolutely fried. That's part of it. It's like, I don't know if you feel the same way, but I'm like, I feel like I ran myself into the ground trying to make sure that I, like, checked off every box in this marriage and stayed entirely too long, and then you finally leave, and then you're solo parenting, you're dealing with these heavy emotions, you have to learn all these new skills to accept and trust, and I'm like, "No, no, no, I just ran a marathon for, like, 5 years, so what I'd actually like to do is I'm gonna go ahead and sleep for 6 months," and it's like, "Oh, no, no, no," like, the other marathon, a completely different marathon is literally just on the other side of, like, the ribbon you ran through to finally say, "I want out." And it's
Yeah, yeah.
really hard. It's not just as simple as going to therapy and learning some skills. It's like you're doing it while absolutely depleted. And I don't think we talk about that part of it enough.
Yeah, try to repair this relationship with yourself, right? Try to heal this relationship with yourself and allow yourself to feel all the feelings from everything that has happened and support your kids. And yeah,
Insane.
it's insane. And I think what you said, right? Running yourself into the ground. I think this is such a generational thing, right? Our parents sort of passed down that you do anything and everything. You make sure that you try. I mean, I grew up religious, so that added another element for me of like, you don't get divorced. So you will figure out how to make this work. And I think a lot of us millennials have gotten that messaging of like, you will sacrifice yourself, you will abandon yourself, you will do anything at all costs just to make sure. And it's like, I think this is something that totally needs to be talked about more because how much, right? I know myself, I abandoned myself for years and the impacts that that had, I'm still working
Yeah,
through.
same.
And I think it's going to take a lot longer for me to work through. It's like, how much do you abandon yourself to make sure? Like, is it worth it?
Right. I was 23 when I met my ex, and I feel like a lot of times going through life now, just different situations, I feel like that 23-year-old again because I feel like the relational skills, not that they stopped then, but it's like all that stuff is still waiting for you. And if you've self-abandoned or yeah, like just sacrifice yourself, given up,
Yeah.
or these adult parts of yourself developed in an unhealthy environment, you take that away. It's like you're left with what was built before. And for a lot of us, that's really, really young parts. And I'm like, I feel like a child again. Like, how am I supposed to navigate all this? It's so much work, which to like full circle to what you said in the beginning, it's like that's why meeting someone like when you and I connected, and I was finally like, hey, just putting your stories together. You separating? And you were like, yep.
Like, I'm sure everyone could see it.
Oh my god. Well, I was also going through it, so I was like, I relate to this in, like, a different
Yeah.
way, but that's why it's so important, or else you feel like a 23-year-old out on an island by yourself, and you're losing your mind, and then you're like, "Oh, you're going through the exact same thing? Incredible. Let's talk about it."
Yeah. Of course, anxiety is an emotion that makes so much sense to pop up, right, when you're navigating something like this. Like, whether it's the end of a relationship, it's a separation, a divorce, whatever. I mean, anxiety is that protector that's going to be like, hey, you need me. But I think, of course, going through this, it can get pretty loud and pretty uncomfy. And like, I don't know if you're willing to share your experience with that emotion or other emotions that have come up. I think this is the part, right? That's so incredibly hard is you do feel like,
Yeah.
how am I supposed to navigate these big, huge feelings? And I'm supposed to keep going, right? I'm supposed to repair and help and support and exist.
Yeah.
Like, how do
Yeah.
I do it?
Yeah, I am an anxiety prone person as is, and going through this process, especially in the beginning stages of our separation. Our youngest was 10 months old when we separated, so she was still, super young. So we had like a nesting situation. So we kept our family home in LA, and we had an apartment that him and I would swap out of on our nights off. And when I would be in that apartment, I have never felt anxiety, overwhelm, panic, ever in my life before, like, just being there. Like, I can almost still, like, viscerally feel it, like, the intensity in my chest, the, like, feeling that I needed to, like, crawl out of my skin, like, so overwhelmed. Like, this is wild, but I'm gonna say it because hopefully people will will relate. Like, I would feel like I just needed to, like, take all of my clothes off and, like, run. Like, that was,
Yeah.
like, the feeling. Like, I was just
Yeah.
like, "I can't," which, by the way, one time I did, and that's a story for another time that I'll DM you. So, yes, very intense, very overwhelming, and I will say in hindsight, I think that as you and probably your community know, like, learning that those feelings don't kill you and that you can tolerate them is the strength that comes out on the other side, but in the moment, there was a lot of questioning of, like, "Am I gonna make it through this?"
Yeah.
Cue the questioning of, "Is this the right decision? Because this feels so incredibly awful. This can't be right if it feels this bad," right?
Yeah.
But then essentially needing to learn new coping skills. I mean, getting outside and walking was like that apartment, most times I would go, change my clothes, and just walk. And I would walk and listen to podcasts. I would walk and call friends. I would walk and cry. I would walk and land at a random restaurant and like have a drink. Like it just I just had to move my body and regulate and lean on people in the process and let myself fall apart. I will also say I am on Prozac and I relied on Xanax a handful of times. Like I was like, I can't, like I just needed additional support during that because I did feel ill-equipped for the intensity of those feelings. But then I also learned really lovely skills and I picked up like pleasure reading again. I read all the random books that had nothing serious in it. I started painting by numbers to regulate my nervous system. Again, like leaned on people, got outside, worked out, like I had to do so much, but it was very intense and there was many a times I questioned if I was going to be okay and if this was right because of the intensity.
Yeah. And I mean, that makes so much sense, right? It makes sense that you're questioning yourself, questioning whether you're going to be okay, whether your kids are going to be okay, whether this is the okay thing. Like, I just have to say, like, I am so incredibly proud of you for sharing everything you just shared because, especially coming from a therapist, it's so nice and relieving to hear. It's like, you are going to need more support going through something like this. And I think oftentimes we hit these life events and it brings out a ton of anxiety and other emotions. And we sort of just, oh God, it's so overwhelming. And we tell ourselves, like, I'm just going to power through. I'll get through this. Like, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, no, no. Like, get support. Take whatever support is helpful for you in that moment because that's going to help you get through it.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, I see this all the time. And I know myself, that's kind of how I used to be, right? With when I was struggling with panic and agoraphobia, I was like, just power through. You'll be fine. Like, hide it. Don't talk about it. We don't need to take medication. And it's like, God, I wish I had done things so differently. So I'm so glad that you were supportive of yourself. But it is such a jarring experience to have that amount of anxiety, that disordered, that panic. It is so scary.
Yeah.
So I think, so many fears come up, right, when you're going through this, especially after you make the decision. I think you think, like you said, I made the decision and now it's good and now I can like breathe. But it's like at every turn, there's like more, right? There's more emotion. There's more like things that you need to work through, more things you figure out about yourself that like you need to work through. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I think, like you said, it is like starting a whole new marathon. Like now I have to look at how do I build this safety back in myself? How do I build trust back in myself? How do I feel like stable again and not totally anxious and out of control all the time? It's hard.
It's really hard. In the vein of transparency, I have not mastered that. I'm like, I am still a major work in progress, particularly when it comes to being alone and being okay in that stillness and that just like ugh, existence. I don't do it a lot. Like I don't know. It's really interesting. I'm trying to be kinder to myself because the reality is I'm alone a lot. Like my kids go to bed when they're here and then I'm alone. I work one-on-one with people, so I'm often alone during the day. I'm like working with people on a computer or maybe they're sitting with me for 50 minutes,
Yeah.
but they leave and I'm alone, right? So I'm really trying to decipher like what is the difference for me of like aloneness and loneliness, and that has been hard. How do I tolerate the feelings of loneliness versus when am I actually feeling alone and need to like engage and do something about that? It's been really hard though. I'm like I don't it's trial and error. I'm still a big fan of walking. Like there's sometimes I just have to get outside of my house. Like I just can't be by myself anymore and being outside is helpful and that's okay. We've also moved. So I'm in a new community, which has been lovely. We went home to San Diego, but home when you're a child is very different from home as an adult. So I am trying to like get back into the community and becoming like a regular at like a yoga studio and working out. And I am asking my friends around here for help and I'm trying to put myself out there in new ways to create a life that I love for myself. I still choose the avoidance behavior sometimes, and that comes in the form of like hanging out with other people, like going on little dates and doing things like that because one, the validation feels good to me. Two, I don't like being alone. And I don't know that I will ever love being alone. And three, it's a fantastic distraction. And I'm trying to also be like, it's okay, but I want to balance it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I just blacked out because this is the area that frazzles me so much. Yeah, I'm still very much in it. And it's so trial and error. And some days I feel like I'm crushing it, killing it, I'm good. Other days I feel like that 23-year-old that's like full of relationship anxiety and fear that I'm going to die alone and nobody likes me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I can totally relate. I'm so glad that you brought this up because I think this is such a good this is like a whole nother conversation in and of itself. But I think this, like you saying, right, like, I can't be by myself, like, there probably a lot of shit comes up, right, when you're by yourself. Like, it's that space where the emotions are like, hey, things are quiet. We can feel now. Yeah. And that's like, how about no? So it's interesting because I think we always have to keep in mind like that we're wired for connection, right? That
Hmm.
things have sort of never looked the way that they do now, like how incredibly isolated we all are. And I think this has been one of the biggest things for me to practice because I'm kind of the opposite when it comes to this is I love being alone. I love being by myself and it's mental saying that from somebody who struggled with panic and agoraphobia because like when I first started to go through the separation and divorce my mom was like I'll come stay with you and I'm like no you're not like I don't want anyone living with
Leave me
me, like, I'm
alone.
fine, I'll be
Yeah.
fine. Yeah, and she's like, "You live in the woods, like, you live by" and I'm like, "I'll be fine." And there was definitely anxiety, like, I don't love that, like, being alone at my house at night, creepy, but, like, I just prefer so for me, it's been more of the I need to make an effort to connect. And like
Mm.
that blows my mind, like how insanely helpful that has been. Like, even if it's, I don't want to say just right, but like connecting with you, voice messages. Like, my best friend, she lives in Connecticut. So it's like, but we're talking like every other day now, where it used to be like maybe once a month. So it's like, going to coffee shops, working from coffee shops more. And that has been so supportive and helpful. So I think, I don't know, this is just a whole nother conversation, but it's like
Yeah.
when you're going through so much shit, whether it's relationship related or not, and you're experiencing so much anxiety, and you're having trouble being alone, no shit, because you have a lack of self trust and you have a lot of emotions. I don't think the solution to that is we have to force you to be alone. Like, yes, you need to actually allow yourself to feel what's coming up, but that doesn't mean you need to sit in isolation, be by yourself, force yourself to be alone, and then you're going to get cozy and comfortable with that. Cause, like, no, we're not wired for that anyway. So it's like stupid. I
Yeah.
mean, I could go off on a tangent on this one.
Right. And then, well, I don't know if you have felt this way too, but I'm like, I have no business trying to date or wanting to be around other people. I just failed. Like, how long ago did I fail at this choice of picking someone? Right. Like, which again is not true. So much reframe has to happen. But in those moments when it feels bad, it's like it tunnel visions into that spiral of everything just adds on top of each other. I don't trust myself. I made a bad decision. I failed. What is this mean for my kids? Right? Like it can be so intense. Yeah. Which for me then is like, bitch, get out of your house. Like you got, you gotta go. Like go be around other people. Like it gets dark up here when I'm by myself too much.
I know, there's so much. I mean, the anxiety shows up in so many different ways for everyone, and I think it's just so interesting. I don't know, I was talking to my mom about this the other day because she was like, "I think that you've handled this incredibly well, like, it's been mind-blowing to see you go through this." And, like, I got emotional even talking about it, but it's like all the stuff that I learned in my anxiety recovery I applied for this. Like, I applied to this, I should say, and I really supported the heck out of myself and, like, knew what I needed to do and knew how I needed to take care of myself, and I didn't have that loud, disordered anxiety, which I did tell my mom at one point, I'm kinda waiting for it, like, I don't know why it's not coming, like, why I'm not having panic attacks, like, because when you experience that overwhelming amount of stress and you're somebody who's had a history with it, you kind of expect it, it's like, it's probably gonna show up, but it didn't, and I think it's just because I learned so much and I knew, like, what I needed to do, and I took so many healthy actions, and it really was small shit, it wasn't like I made these big drastic decisions or leaps. It was like just small stuff every day. Like I was walking. I mean, people would see me if they follow me on social media, like working out consistently. I was connecting with people. Like I got back into therapy pretty quickly, like all the things. Like, and I think it's scary. It's so scary to be in that place where life is going to change drastically when you make a decision, no matter what the decision is. But you've got to support yourself through that in whatever is going to be, but like support yourself through it. And it's going to be a whole heck of a lot less hard.
So first of all, let me say you are such a badass. Like I mean that from like
Oh,
watching you go through some of my things. I'm like, man, I gotta be like Shannon. I gotta like channel that energy. Like you are such a strong individual. And what you're saying is like you had to do some of this work that you have done beforehand is what led to some of that resiliency during the
hmm
separation. I think I'd done the other work. I don't know that I've done like the work that nobody would know that you need before, whatever.
yeah, yeah.
What I want to say from the end of it is that if somebody's listening to this and is afraid of making a decision because of the unknown and questioning if you can tolerate it or not, because it will be hard, is to take a note from what Shannon just said from prior to her separation and what I'm saying I had to learn afterwards that like build your coping skills now because the stronger you feel before making
Mhm.
a hard decision, like maybe you take the pressure off the decision and just say, okay, how do I build these tools in the toolbox for myself? So if I do feel, depressed, what do I do? If I do feel anxious or I don't like being alone, how can I start leaning into that and building things now? It's like sometimes I wish somebody would have told me that I spent so much time
Mhm.
checking the boxes to like save my relationship or that I was like making sure I did everything there. And again, like I exhausted myself and stayed way too long doing that. But never in that was I like, hold on, let me build my foundation. So if and when I make this hard decision, like I'm not starting from, ground zero. That would be like my encouragement to anybody listening, being like, oh, I don't know that I can do that. I'm like, well, start showing yourself now that you can, and that might help your decision.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's so helpful. Well, as you were talking, I was sort of thinking because when you were saying like it's hard to sort of have this thought, this like shame pop up of I failed. And it was crazy because I had this random person, like, in my life reach out to me on social media and basically say, "I'm sorry your marriage failed," and it's sort of in a public way. And I was like, "What?" And I never felt like I had failed. I never even had that thought. I was like, I didn't fail at anything. It's just I was also 23 when we met. There was a lot of shit I didn't know. I was pretty stupid. So in no way, shape, or form am I looking at that 23-year-old and being like, "You failed. Like, how stupid are you?" I mean,
Yeah.
there was just so much that I didn't know. I didn't know myself.
Yeah.
I had no idea who I was. And so I think I just have too from my recovery journey, like so much self compassion. And I'm like, I am not going that shame route. Like, I have nothing to feel shameful for. And I got that message and I didn't even respond to it, but I was like, "How dare you?" Like, who like, I think we need to stop looking at it that way. It's never
Yeah.
a failure. I don't care what age you are when you marry someone. Like, it's just you made that decision at that time and you thought it was a good decision and hey, it wasn't. That's fine. I am so glad that you have the community that you do because I've told you a million bajillion times it's exactly what I needed. Like, I just needed to hear from someone, like, to be able to talk to other people who were going through what I was going through. Because even though I did have a couple people in my life, they weren't I don't know, it just didn't feel connected. And so I think that's such a huge piece that I want people to hear, like, if you're in that space of, "I don't know," like, nobody can figure it out for you, kinda like what Stacey said at the beginning. She can't tell you, like, "Yes, you should stay. Yes, you should go," unless it's clear, like, there's, like, abuse or whatever, but I think, nobody is gonna be able to give you answers, but when you get support, it helps to bring you so much more clarity. Like,
Yes.
the support of others and the support of yourself, that clarity will come much more quickly. It never will come as quickly as you want it to, but it will come.
Yeah, community is everything. I mean, we're not meant to do a lot of things alone, but certainly not completely change your life around and do something,
Yeah.
that you never saw coming. So yes, take care of yourself, build your coping skills now if you're on the fence, and lean into community ASAP, even if it means randomly DMing someone.
Yeah, right. I think we need to do like a part 2 already of this episode because there's so much more that we need to talk about and that I think would be helpful. But I think I just want to ask you as sort of the last thing, looking back on your journey, like what's one thing that you wish you had known or that you could have practiced or just something that you're like, that would have been so fucking helpful?
God, I don't wanna say the cliche things, but I'm like, there's a reason why everybody who's been through it says certain things, right? I think the biggest one is that your feelings are not going to break you. Like, no matter how bad it feels, like, it's the hole you have to go right through it, right? Like, that's the only way to get to the other side, and I hate it. Like, I hate that I'm saying that right now. 'Cause it's annoying and it's painful and it's hard, and I truly do feel so much more resilient knowing the darkness that I went through and being like, "Okay, that didn't break me, so cool, shit's still gonna be hard. My daughter's gonna say these hard things to me in the morning and in one-offs, and I will feel it, and I will be okay," because I fetal bawled, cried, in a dark apartment away from my 10-month-old. Like, I will be okay. So, feel the feelings, and then I think same with that is I'm still unlearning that we don't have to moralize our feelings either. Just because it feels bad doesn't mean it's, like, right or wrong, or wanting something, craving human connection isn't right or wrong, right? Like that there's not a black or white way of coping and healing and feeling. And us little perfectionists like to do it right, but there is no right or wrong when it comes to how you feel through life and how you feel through your experiences. They are your own to feel. And then I probably would be like, "I'm not listening to you. I'm gonna do this the hard way," if I told myself that in the beginning. So, it is what it is. You'll get there.
I know. I think of like the me, 2, 3 years ago, and I'm like, oh my God, you made that so excruciatingly painful. Of course you did. Of course you did. And it's okay that you did. Like, we still got here.
It is okay. All part of the journey.
Well, we're definitely gonna do round 2 because there's so much I feel like we didn't get to and then I wanna talk to you more about, but I just so appreciate you coming on and being vulnerable, and this has been such a good
Yeah,
conversation.
of course. I adore you. I appreciate you. Thanks for having me.
I hope you loved this episode of A Healthy Push. If you have, I'd be so grateful if you could leave me a rating and review wherever you're listening to this podcast. This helps people to find the show and get the support they need. And if you know someone who could use a little push, be sure to share this episode with them. And for even more support, head over to ahealthypush.com for show notes and loads of tips, tools, and inspiration to help you on your recovery journey. I'll see you next week.